Are your money and your finances stressing you out? Well, thankfully, there is an antidote to stress, and it's optimism. And before you stop watching because you aren't an optimist, or you are an optimist and you're happy this confirms everything will be okay, the optimism I'm talking about is what is termed realistic optimism. And it's a radical way to look at your money strategically. Watch the video to find out more. Hi there, I'm Michelle. Welcome to my channel where we talk money and having more of it. So, talking about this optimism. Yes, I know it all sounds woo-woo, and while I do support the law of attraction and all of that, I'm very much a believer that this kind of good luck also needs input from us. And realistic optimism is a skill we can all develop to support us in creating the circumstances to attract those good things. So let's take a look at what it is. Realistic optimism isn't about ignoring reality and trying to believe the "it's all gonna be all right" mantra. It's the ability to see a problem and have the faith and the resources to work through it. Optimists see challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. They don't see challenges and ignore them because, don't worry, everything's going to be all right. I'm channeling Bob Marley here again. So let's take a look at what optimism has to do with our money. A study by Michelle Gillen, a positive psychology researcher and author of the wonderfully named book Broadcasting Happiness, found that optimists build better financial habits. She saw that 90% of the optimists in her test population had saved for major purchases versus 70% of the pessimists. And nearly 2/3 of the optimists had an emergency fund, while less than 50% of the pessimists did. Now, don't ask me how she identified the optimist and the pessimist, when maybe the optimist smiled more and the pessimist didn't. But there you go. But looking at the definition of a realistic optimist, it's clear that this is driven by a sensible understanding that things can and will go wrong. And because of that, taking a practical approach now to preparing for those things. And that would mean saving for that emergency fund or saving for that big purchase. Realistic optimists create the conditions that mitigate against problems that may occur. They consciously choose a positive approach to the future by taking the correct actions now and setting them up for the ability to deal with whatever that future may bring to them. At this point, you may be asking, well, what if I'm not naturally an optimist? The good news, though, is that optimism isn't a trait you have to be born with. It's like any other muscle that requires constant practice to build. And this comes from taking practical steps, like the ones I'm going to talk about in a minute, to change the way you see things. And the first of these steps is to just accept optimism is in fact rational thinking. It's built from a solutions-focused frame of mind. And this means when you have a problem, you see it as a puzzle to be solved and not an absolute meltdown disaster. It's reframing "why is this happening to me" to "why is this happening for me" kind of thinking. Second thing, optimism is simply about building resilience. So Gillen says when we are faced with setbacks, we can get into the unconscious habit of disengaging, which becomes learned helplessness, or the less euphemistically term giving up. Optimism is all about building that resilience, and that means taking action no matter how small. So I don't know what to do becomes I will find support and take the next step, even if that means the smallest possible action, like calling somebody to talk about the problem. And of course, making sure that that call is a constructive call and not just a discussion around, "oh, woe is me" and how hard my life is. So as you can see from the above, optimism is something that we can nurture and become. It's all about just changing our thinking from that trapped kind of fixed mindset to how can we make something of this? How can we do something that's positive from this? Now, it's very easy to feel like you have this realistic optimism thing nailed when everything's going well. But what do you do when crappy reality really beats down any form of optimism? Well, Gillen says we can still train our brain to become more optimistic, and it starts to become an upward spiral. No matter where you find yourself in what terms of your financial picture, if you can engage in optimistic habits, it will lead to better financial outcomes. So these habits could be as little as saving £5 for the week or foregoing that prep lunch for a home sandwich. Small wins are still wins, and they still count in terms of building that optimism muscle that you're working on. And as Gillen says, when you feel like you've had a win, you can move on to the next step, and then the next one after that, and so on. For more money talk about the markets, money, and other things that build a wealthy life, why don't you subscribe to my newsletter at herwealthiq.com. And if you like this video, please let me know by liking it and share it with any other ladies who want to change their financial story. And for more money talk designed for women, why not subscribe? Thank you so much for watching the video the whole way through.